Hi YouTube, this is Lisa. You're watching The Backward Glance, and this is episode number 22 of my What Sold Quickly on eBay series. Today is August 30th, 2019, and all of these sales took place in the last week or so. If you've seen my videos before, you'll know my little notes here. The buyers pay shipping unless I state otherwise, and a lot of times the price that I accepted was an offer, so it may not match what you see on your screen. I usually sell mainly clothing, but this video actually has kind of a random assortment of items in it, and I do have a couple of bonus items at the end. So the first item I wanted to show you is this pair of earrings. These were by a company called Peter Bram's Designs. They were marked PBD, SS, and 14K, clearly on the back here. And I was a little bit surprised to find these. The store I got them at usually does a good job of sorting the sterling and the gold out from the rest of the jewelry. However, these were just with the costume jewelry, so I only paid $1 for them. I sold them through offers to watchers for $35, and they took 21 days to sell. I did put them on the scale so that the buyer could see what they weighed. This is a special scale for jewelry, for getting a really accurate measurement. And I picked up this scale through eBay. They're not expensive. I also invested in an acid testing kit before I started listing anything that was precious metal. So if you're interested in selling jewelry, that's something you might want to look into. My next item is also a jewelry item. This is from a family member, and I've actually had it for a long time, but since I didn't have the acid kit until recently, or really enough knowledge to feel comfortable listing jewelry, I just held on to it. So this was, as you can see, a cross pendant. It did not have the chain, but it did have these earrings to match. Both the earrings and cross were marked 925, and they had some other markings that even with my loop were too small or just obscure for me to make out. So I listed these for $42, took a best offer of $37, and these took 24 days to sell. The cross pendants are very, very common on eBay, so I wouldn't expect the cross on its own to be a quick sale, but I think having the earrings with these is what kind of made them sell faster than some of the competition. Next is this hat by a company called Artalusa. I found this and I thought it was really cool because it's cork, and here is the brand name inside in case you ever come across something like this. There weren't a lot of comps. I think there were none listed and one sold, and the sold one I think went for like 48 or best offer, so I wanted to sell mine pretty quick since it's a bulky item to ship, or not to ship really, but to store without damaging it. So I paid $3.15 for this and took a best offer of $32. That took 24 days to sell. Next is just a small sale here. I picked up this Rawlings leather glove. I paid just 50 cents for it, and since it was so inexpensive, I didn't even look up comps. I generally think that most gloves, if you can get them for cheap enough and they're actual leather, not vinyl, are going to be worth picking up. So when I ran comps at home, it wasn't very valuable. I listed it for 14. I did get a watcher right away, so I sent out an offer for 10 and they accepted that. So I actually sold this one on the same day I listed it, and I got 20 times what I paid for it, which is pretty good even though it was a small sale. So I don't mind small sales at all. Alright, item number 5 is this pair of driftwood jeans. The style on these was Audrey straight leg, and this style seems to do pretty well as far as sell-through rate for this brand. I picked these up for $4.20, sold them through offers to watchers for $28, and that took 10 days. And here's the inner tag. Driftwood, and I think I've mentioned in a video before, but I believe that these jeans are sold through the Sundance catalog. There's the patch on the back. Item 6 is this leather jacket. This is an item I picked up at a garage sale. I got 3 leather motorcycle jackets all at the same time, and this was the last one to sell, so they all went pretty quick, which is awesome because, again, it's a bulky item to have around. This jacket had a lot of wear on it, but just a really cool vintage look. So the brand is called First, and I don't necessarily think there's anything special about that brand. I just thought the fringe was spectacular, the little conchos there. They're even a little uneven on the front, but hey, it's still sold. And this actually went through the global shipping program. So I paid $4.25 for this. I got a best offer for $35, and that took 21 days. Next is a cologne, and this bottle was, I put 99% full because I just didn't want to promise that it was full, but it looked pretty full, and it was in its original box, but the box showed some wear and damage. This is a cologne that I cannot recommend that you look out for. It is by Mary Kay, and I found out after I purchased this that Mary Kay tends to enforce their Vero policy pretty heavily on eBay. So a lot of people who list it get their listings pulled. So when I found that out, I decided to basically be the cheapest listing for this particular bottle of cologne and hope to sell it before I got my listing pulled. So I'm not saying that's what you should do, that's just what I did. I paid $6.35 for this. I listed it for $30, and that's what I got. That took 3 days to sell. Many people were selling this closer to $40 or even $50. Does have a good sell-through rate, but like I said, I won't be picking up Mary Kay to flip in the future. And if I had known that at the time, I probably wouldn't have picked up this bottle, but I'm glad it did sell quickly without any issues. Here's the most random item that I've sold recently. I picked this up. It was new in an open package, and I had no idea what it was. And this was on one of those days where I just wasn't finding a lot at the thrift store, and I was having to get a little creative and just look up lots of stuff to make my trip to the thrift store worth it. I paid $2.10 for this item. I got my full asking price of $25 in just one day. And what this is some kind of weight recording system for tournament fishing. So super random, but sometimes those like very specific niche items are the ones that do pretty well. Next up, this is a listing that I actually made special for a buyer of mine. I had gotten 3 of these Medusa action figures. They were Walgreens exclusives. I picked them up at a little thrift store, and they were all in extremely damaged packaging that wasn't even worth salvaging. So I listed them as like a multi-quantity listing, and then I had someone interested in buying 2, so we worked out a deal that I would sell that person 2 for $20 shipped. So this is the only item where I offered free shipping, and that was just as kind of a thank you for purchasing 2 at a time. So not a high profit item for me. I paid $2 and they cost just over $5 to ship. Excuse me, but they only took 5 days to sell. I still have one more listed, so I'm pretty happy with that sale. And item number 10 before we do our bonus items is this pair of Hudson jeans. This style was called the Colin Flap Pocket Skinny, and I had seen these a few times at the thrift store and passed them up, and eventually they went on half off, and so that's when I scooped them up. I do like selling Hudson. Not every style is worth picking up, and when I originally looked up this style, the sell-through was just okay. Of course, that was closer to summertime when I first saw them pop up in the thrift store, and all jean sales are a little bit depressed in the summertime, so I think now is the time to really be listing jeans. I paid $4.20 for these. I did get my full asking price of $28, and they took 10 days to sell. Now I have 2 bonus items to show you, and the reason I'm considering these bonus items is because they have both been in videos before. So these are items that I listed and sold quickly, and then I got returned, and then I listed and sold quickly again. So, not that I like to get returns, but it's always nice to see that that selling something quickly once wasn't a total fluke. So, this is a dress by J. McLaughlin. This is not a brand that I find super often, but I have done okay with it in the past. I paid $6 for this and sold it for a best offer of $40. It took 19 days to sell this time. Last time I think I sold it in less than a week, and I actually got my full asking price for it last time, so that's okay though. Sometimes that happens. There is the tag, J. McLaughlin, so I don't know how common this is. I certainly don't see it super often, but it is one to look out for, in my opinion. And the last item here is, again, the same sort of thing. I have sold this pair of shoes 3 times now. All 3 times they have sold within the first 30 days of being listed, so they're obviously a decent shoe to pick up. I have never seen other Eileen Fisher shoes. I sell lots of Eileen Fisher clothes, but I didn't even know that Eileen Fisher made shoes until I found these. They always get a lot of watchers. Nice pair of shoes. So the first 2 buyers said that they didn't fit and returned them. And the third buyer has already given me positive feedback, so I'm hoping that means that these are not going to be returned for a third time. I paid $6.05 for these. I took a best offer of $30, and they took 21 days to sell. And I'm fairly sure that every time I've sold these, it's been for around 30. I've never gotten the full price that I can remember, so I think around 30 is kind of the sweet spot for this pair of shoes. So those are the items that I have to share with you. I really appreciate you watching. I'd love it if you comment or go ahead and like, dislike, or subscribe, whatever your heart desires. Thanks a lot.